Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You are listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. For those people that might be slightly unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingils. We run this whole thing. We've been running this whole thing for, I think it's been 7 years now. We have over 6,500 episodes. That's a lot of episodes. We do 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And one of the really cool things we started in 2019 that we're continuing in 2020 is with a great gentleman. His name is George Madiou. George Madiou, if you've been listening in, he owns a digital magazine called the networkmarketingmagazine.com. So the networkmarketingmagazine.com, which is really easy to remember because it's the networkmarketingmagazine.com. So we love George Madiou. He's a really great guy, and I met George as a result of lots of things, but really was pushed by a great friend of ours. Her name is Doris Wood. And Doris, who is the original founder of the MLMIA, said, "Are you doing any radio shows with George Madiou?" And I said, "No." And she said, "You should." And anytime Doris Wood says anything, I usually say, "You know what, you're probably right, Doris." So we started our radio show, and I knew that George is a good guy and he was a hard worker. I really didn't know how connected George Madiou really was. So George Madiou is really connected into a whole bunch of things. You would have suspected, like, what were you thinking, Peter? He runs the networkmarketingmagazine.com, so of course he knows just about everybody, and we've had some really great guests on Building Fortunes Radio. However, and in addition to what I just said, I think I'm going to really like this one because I heard the name of her website just before we got started. And I am really liking this already. So I can't wait to hear what we're going to have on Building Fortunes Radio. And if you want to hear this again, if you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/TNMM, we made it easy for you to remember. That's buildingfortunesradio.com/TNMM. That stands for the Network Marketing Magazine. You'll be able to hear this radio show again and be able to share with your friends. So George Madiou, over to you.
Thanks so much, Peter. I appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
New decade.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be with you. And it's even more exciting for me to have my guest on. My guest is Wendy Weiss. And Wendy has written to the magazine. She is one of the original contributors 15 years ago when we started. And she is just an absolutely incredible person, an incredible resource for those people that want to learn the skill sets necessary to become successful in their business. She's an outstanding trainer, a wonderful sales coach. And Wendy, are you there?
I am here, George.
That's great. I'm so happy to have you. It's what you teach is timeless. I mean, it doesn't matter if we're talking to people in 2020 or talking to people in 1990. I'm sorry, that's a long time ago. 2005, when we started here at the magazine. What you teach, like I said, is absolutely timeless, and I'm so glad that we have you on today. So, how are you?
I am good. And you know what, George? It's going to be timeless 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 2025, 2030, because if you want to make sales, if you want to grow your business, you need to talk to people.
Right.
It's about communicating.
Right. I totally agree with you. Our the network marketing magazines, I mean, awesome, if I may say so myself, training program, the 27%er success system, revolves around the wisdom of the ages, teachings just like you teach. That, like you said, I don't care if it's 2030, 2060. I mean, what you teach is as pertinent today as it was when you first started. So let's start off there. When did you start teaching? I mean, let me take a step backwards. I knew you in the very beginning, and continue today as the queen of cold calling. Tell me about that, Your Highness.
Well, that is true. I am the queen of cold calling, and I am sure you are doing this show on Bended Knee, George.
I am.
Yeah. But I'll begin by saying I was never supposed to be the queen of cold calling or any kind of sales trainer. I was actually supposed to be a ballerina. I grew up in Pennsylvania. And I moved to New York City, where I still live and work. I moved here when I was 17 to dance. I studied at the Joffrey Ballet School. And then eventually, like every artist in New York City, I needed a day job, and I got really sick of waiting on tables. So I got a job with a telemarketing agency that did business development. And it turned out I was good at it, which was a complete surprise because ballet dancers don't talk. But I did that day job for a while, and then I started my own business where I had clients that I would represent, and I did business development for them. And it was actually one of those first clients that dubbed me the queen of cold calling because I just found so many opportunities for him. But I want to make 2 points because today I work with business owners, network marketers that need to develop new business. They need to build their downline. They need to get sales. And I was really lucky. You know, people say so many really dumb things about this topic. And the truth is, because people say that they're born salespeople, the myth of the born salesperson, that somehow there are these people out there that are born knowing what to do. They know how to sell. They just know it intuitively. They know what to do. That's a myth. I was really lucky because when I got that day job all those years ago, they taught me this skill, and they coached me, and they gave me feedback, and they held my hand until I got really good at it. And learning the skill of being able to talk to other human beings and get their attention and their agreement to the next step in the sales process, learning that skill enabled me to build a business. So for our listeners out there, any of you that might be struggling, it's not your fault. You probably heard a lot of dumb things about this topic, but the good news is you can learn it. You can improve, and it'll change your life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you say, it starts with talking to people, and it starts with knowing what to say and how to say it. What amazes me is that somebody will go out and buy a list of 10,000 names and phone numbers and have no idea what to say to those people, have no clue. And they just feel as though, as far as prospecting goes, that's what's needed, is a phone number and a person on the other end. But that's not it, is it?
No, because one of the really dumb things that people say about this particular topic, they say, it's just make hundreds of phone calls dial the phone 100 times, and if that doesn't work, dial the phone 200 times, and if that doesn't work, dial the phone 300 times, and that only worked when people answered their phones, but it didn't work that well then. 20 years ago when we didn't have voicemail and didn't have cell phones and people answered their phones, if you dialed the phone 100 times, somebody would eventually say yes to you. But today that doesn't work at all. But so it's really having the skill of being able to get someone's attention, and then also getting their agreement that they want to hear what you have to say, and that's a skill.
Right, exactly. And so what I love about what you teach is, you can confirm this. There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people that are out there that are saying that they're coaches and trainers, but in fact, they fall short. They don't understand the skill set of properly understanding, first of all, what they're saying, how they're saying, and who they're saying it to. And the reason why you've done this for so many years and successfully is you've honed that skill, and you've been able to pass that on to those people that end up taking your training and your coaching, right?
Yes, we teach a very step-by-step system, what to do, what to say, how to say it, and what's interesting, because people get very flipped out about the term cold calling, but no matter where you find a lead, I'm sure, George, in your life you've experienced this, and our listeners have experienced this, where, you reach out to a lead and they behave like you're their long-lost friend. Well, if that happens, they want to hear everything you have to say. That's great. You're golden. But then how many times do you reach out to a lead and they have no idea what you're talking about, or they maybe they contacted you through your website, they filled out a form, and then they deny that they filled out the form even though you're looking at it, or they deny that they know who you are even though they've opened all of your emails. If those kinds of things are happening, it then it's just about the ability to communicate. And so what we teach is that ability to communicate to a lead, whether, warm lead, cold lead, you meet them in social media, you meet them in a networking group, you got a referral, you bought a list, whatever it is, that ability to communicate so that people want to hear what you have to say.
Right. So tell me what has changed. When did you start? When did you start in the training of the sales training and the sales coaching? About the year 2000. That's actually when my first book came out. My first book was called Cold Calling for Women, Opening Doors and Closing Sales, and it had a lovely pink phone on the cover. That's great. So tell me what's happened from then to now. What has changed?
Well, certainly people, in 2000, people were a lot more accessible. They did answer their phones, so it was much easier to reach people. Today it is harder. People do hide behind their voicemail, which is why it's really important to have the skill to leave a voicemail that gets somebody to return your phone call. However, the other flip side of that is there is technology that is incredibly helpful. For example, there's all sorts of online resources where you can get data that gives you information. You know, in the old days, when I was just doing business development on behalf of my clients, they would give me a book. Like, you know, here are all the companies we want you to call, and I would just go through the book calling people. Well, now, and I didn't know who I needed to talk to. I didn't know anything about the company. It was just like a list of companies and phone numbers. Well, today you can, you know, there's all sorts of information available online. So that's one thing that has changed that is incredibly helpful, because it helps you tailor messages that are really going to resonate. And then the other thing is the technology has changed if you use the proper type of software. For example, we use a software that has a dialer.
Right.
Where you can drop recorded voicemails. If you don't reach the person directly, you can personalize the voicemail. Your prospect, it's not like a robocall. It sounds like you. It sounds like you talking, but you can drop a voicemail, and it will, at a minimum, double your call volume. So,
wow.
You know, it's sort of a good news, bad news scenario.
Yeah.
You know, people are not as accessible, but there's technology and information that's available that offsets that.
There's ways of getting around that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know,
Go ahead.
I wanted to make one more point, because there's research that shows that the RAIN Group did some research last year, 2019. They found that 82% of buyers set up appointments with people that reach out to them. That buyers are willing to set up appointments, 82% of them, and that 62% of buyers want to hear from people. If they're actively looking for a solution to a problem they have, they want to hear from people. And 69% of buyers accept phone calls from new providers. So, you know, there's this myth that you can't talk to anybody, they don't answer the phone, it doesn't work. That's not actually true. There's actual research that shows you can pick up the phone and talk to other human beings about your opportunity or your products.
And that's exciting. That's encouraging. I'm going to pass this back on to Peter, and we're going to take a short break. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about getting sales and really how to prospect. So, Peter, back to you, buddy.
Excellent. We're going to take a little commercial break. I told you I would like this radio show. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PM Marketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized websites, MLM training, humongous blogs, the humongous classified ad network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. NetworkLeads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
And we are back. Peter Mingils here with George Madiou and Wendy Weiss. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/TNMM, you'll be able to hear this one again. And Wendy's also going to have a guest page. If you are doing anything where there are two people, their lips are moving, and there's talking about stuff, chances are somebody's selling, somebody's buying, and Wendy's going to help you figure that out. So if you go look for her page on Building Fortunes Radio, look for Wendy Weiss. That's WEISS, and you'll be able to hear that. And hopefully we have her back as well as the rest of this radio show. So, George Madiou, back to you.
Thank you, Peter. So yeah, that makes you, Wendy, have an ebook that is just absolutely incredible, and it's called A Practical Guide to Getting Sales Teams to Prospect. Give me a 10,000-foot view of that ebook.
Sure. If you have a team, one of the things that I just hear over and over again is that many of the people on the team, my clients will say to me, they don't want to prospect. They don't. They're scared of it. They don't know what to do. They, and they just don't do it. And let's face it, without prospecting, there are no opportunities. Without opportunities, you don't sell anything. So it's really important that a team be able to find those opportunities. And so, what this book does, the Practical Guide to Getting Sales Teams to Prospect, is shows a very step-by-step system, the things that you should try and put in place, the things that you should watch out for, the psychology of your team members that maybe are struggling, and how to get them to kind of come around. And so that's what you'll find in the Practical Guide to Getting Sales Teams to Prospect.
So what you're saying is something that we have found at the Network Marketing Magazine. With 15 years of experience, the one topic that is the number one topic that we've run over the last 15 years is prospecting. The number two topic is the next 9 topics put together. So that's where prospecting ends up really being so essential. But it's not a matter of just like I said, willy-nilly buying a list. I mean, there's some great lists and everything else, but if you don't know what you're doing, that's not the very most important thing. The very most important thing is learning the skill sets necessary, like we've been talking about, of knowing what to say and how to say it to your prospect. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. So many business owners they're just reactive. They're kind of waiting for the next team member, in their downline to kind of knock on their door, or the next sale to come in somehow, and whoever it is that knocks on the door or sends them an email, that's who they reach out to. The thing that I love about prospecting is that you get to choose. It's you define what makes a good lead for you in your market with, whatever the offering is and whatever type of people you're looking for to build your downline. Like, you get to decide who you're looking for. And I think that's incredibly powerful. And
well, what's so powerful about it is that puts us in control. But it only puts us in control if we know what we're doing.
Yeah. And once you have, once you've made that decision, you have chosen, then it gets so much easier to create some messaging that's going to resonate with the target market that you're going into. It's, the basic rule is what you say has to be relevant to the person you plan on saying it to. Mm-hmm. And so that's why in our programs, we help everybody that's in the program create messaging that's going to resonate. I'll give you an example. We had somebody in one of our coaching programs. Her name was Alina, and she went to a lot of conferences because she would get leads from going to these conferences. And after our program ended, she told me that when she used to go to these conferences and she would talk about her opportunity or she'd talk about her products, and she said, I could see their eyes glaze over and roll back into their heads. Yeah. And then, we had helped her create an elevator speech, an introduction. She went to a conference, she used that. She said their eyes would light up and get really big, and they completely got it, and she went home with a bunch of appointments. That's what's supposed to happen. And that is what happens when you have the skill set. Imagine going to a conference or doing your prospecting or going about your life or networking or whatever it is you're doing, and it was easy because you knew what to say and you had a calendar full of appointments.
Yeah. People are really interested in themselves. They're not interested in somebody coming up to them and talking at them. And if you, like you said, if you don't capture their attention, having that awesome 1-minute elevator speech that's going to stop them in their tracks and want to know more, you don't stand a chance. So what you do is like I've seen in some of your writings is that you help people discover how to jumpstart your team's prospecting. And we as leaders, and I'm talking about a leader is defined as a person who has their first person that they've brought in, or their 100th, or their 1,000th. But, our job as leaders is to be able to make it easier. You ended up talking about making 100 calls, making 200 calls, making 300 calls. There's no making 301 calls because by that time, the person that just signed up in your business is now looking to get a job as a greeter at Walmart. This is just too hard. And it doesn't have to be. So.
Yeah. One of the big mistakes that I see all the time is leaders with a team, they, bring someone onto the team and then they say, okay, go find some opportunities. Get some people to to our conference calls, or send them these links or whatever. They don't have a system.
Mm-hmm.
And when you, as a leader, when you have a system that works because you've proved the model, then you can plug other people into it, and you can help them be successful. Yeah. But when there's no system and it's just, go talk to people about your opportunity. And there are some people in the world that are able to do that, but most of them can't. They need some help.
Yeah. So one of the things that you do is you make your ebook as a complimentary download, a practical guide to getting sales teams to prospect. I believe so much in what you're doing, and this is just really the first step. One of the additional things, besides having a page for you in the radio show, and not only that, but having on the homepage of the Network Marketing Magazine, there's on the right-hand side, we talk about the radio show, and when somebody clicks on that, they'll go, and the first show that they can listen to is this show. But what I'm going to also do is, beneath that, I'm going to make available a practical guide to getting sales teams to prospect underneath that block on our homepage. So it's free of charge. It's going to be there. We're going to have it there for a while. We're going to make sure that people, when they go to your particular page for this show, they'll be able to get it there. But we're going to really prominently promote it right there in the Network Marketing Magazine homepage. And I really think that you offer our industry such a service that I'm so thrilled about having you on. And just like Peter said, I hope that we can have you back and carry on this discussion. Do you have one last thing you want to leave with us, Wendy, before we leave?
Yes, I do. Actually, thank you for asking. I do want to share with everybody that's listening in. I told you my story, and I was really lucky because I just sort of stumbled into this day job where they taught me this skill. They held my hand. They coached me. They gave me feedback. It didn't take that long, but I learned this skill. It enabled me to build a business. And so for any of you that, maybe you're struggling or maybe you're doing okay, but you're not quite where you want to be, the really good news for everyone is that this is a communication skill. You can learn it. You can improve on it. It is, I said this before, it is life-changing when you get it. And so I do want to encourage each and every one of you, click on the link George is going to post for the practical guide to getting sales teams to prospect, and learn this skill, and everything changes.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You and I are going to be talking. I'm going to try to coach you to come on back, and I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you, Wendy.
My pleasure. Thank you, George.
Okay. Back to you, Peter.
Excellent information. Thanks for being here. Wendy Weiss. Make sure you check her out, buildingfortunesradio.com/TNMM. And I'll say it like this, there's a lot of people in network marketing who sell nutritional supplements, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin whatever. If you have a deficiency in the sales vitamin, you'll die in sales. So you need to have this is right. Isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? So this is one thing you can't be without. So make sure you check out all the cool things that Wendy is working on, and we will catch you next week. And George, I'm gonna, I tell you sometimes we want people back. We want Wendy back. I am going to make sure that happens because this is great information. Could mean the difference between success and failure in so many situations, and it's so important. So Wendy's great at this. We'll catch you next time. Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Catch you next time.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.